Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler. I'm so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination, and maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. The music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and the El Dorado Restaurant and Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand, right at the water's edge. It's so romantic. It's so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week, we are going back to Puerto Vallarta during the pandemic. I'm going to tell you how my second trip down during the pandemic went. I'm going to give you a blow-by-blow account. Some things were the same this time down as they were in August, and some were a little different. But it was a crazy week, I got to tell you something. It was quick, too. I visited Nat Moraga over at Tile Park PV, over at Parque de los Azulejos, where they are open again and they are tiling. We're going to talk with Nat. We're going to find out what her plans are here for season 4 at the park. And it's going to be different this year, and she's going to tell us just what that's going to look like. Then we're going to go to the Malecon. We're going to check out the new location of Licks Ice Cream. We are going to visit Todd and Kathleen, and we're also going to meet the new owners of Xocodiva Chocolates, Laura and Ron. But before we get to them and all that great stuff, let's see what's happening this week in Puerto Vallarta, the 24th of November, 2020. Well, I've been back about a week and a half, and the partial shutdown actually has ended in Puerto Vallarta, and as a result, there is actually a lower tally of infections of the dreaded coronavirus in Puerto Vallarta. And during the entire week that I was in town, the shutdown was on, with the exception of the very last night. And that was the Friday night, last night that I was there. And boy, the clubs were really busy that night. No joke. It was, well, it was, they'd been shut down for 2 weeks at night. It was time to have a little fun. And I was actually able to, get a late night dinner that night. The evening that I arrived on Sunday, I went to go see JR, and we walked down to Que Pasa. I muled down a few things for JR, and JR had a couple things for me. And we took a stroll down and had a drink and a bite over at Que Pasa. And we caught up on, the planning for the stay and the kind of interviews that I'm going to be doing. And I should have paid a little bit more attention to the clock, because I realized, walking back to my apartment, that, my Airbnb, I should say, that I should have had more to eat when I was at Que Pasa, because all the restaurants had shut down, and they were shutting down at 8:30. I figured maybe I could get, maybe I'd be able to catch a taco stand, but no, even the taco stands were all shutting down. The authorities, the reglamentos, they were out there. They were making sure all the bars were shut down and all the restaurants were shut down, and they were following orders and looking for people that they could fine. And, so people were serious about being closed during that partial shutdown. That was from 8:30 at night, when all the restaurants and all the bars and all of the stuff that they figured was not necessary were told to shut down. So I had my dinner at Oxo, which was just so delicious. I'd go through the menu right now, but I'm afraid I would bore you. So anyway, how was the trip this time? How was it a little bit different? The difference, well, I don't know. I flew out of LAX like I always do. It was nonstop, Puerto Vallarta, Los Angeles. It was on Delta Airlines, and the plane was 2/3 full with 103 passengers, according to the flight attendant. And just like last trip, the center seat of each row was empty, so there was nobody to my left, and there was a window to my right, and I like it that way. And we did the same thing that we did last time. We boarded with the people in the back boarding first. Other than, of course, the whoop-de-doo guys, the ones in first class that get to go on actually first. But then they boarded everybody from the back all the way to the front, which is a great deal. And then they deboarded with everybody getting up, and then in a very orderly fashion, getting off of the plane. The check-in was pretty much the same online as well as at the airport. They wanted to make sure that we filled out a questionnaire, and when they want to know if you've had COVID over the last 14 days, if you've had any symptoms, and if you would agree to wear a mask the entire flight. And of course, you check yes, yes, yes to all of those. And if you're sick, you don't go, right? And so I was feeling fine. Now, there wasn't a form this time for the airport when you got to Puerto Vallarta that we had to fill out last time. And that was a kind of a tracking form where they tracked you as to what seat you were in and where you're going to be staying and how could you be contacted in case you were traveling next to somebody who had an infection. But they did have a form that you filled out on the way back from Puerto Vallarta to Los Angeles, and that they made you fill that out, and then they had you walk past one of these thermal imaging machines, kind of interesting. Then that was set up just before you got to the security portion of the airport over in Puerto Vallarta upstairs. Now, masks were required in the airport in Los Angeles as well as in Puerto Vallarta, and as well as during the entire ride on the plane, unless, of course, you were eating or drinking something, and they did hand out little snacks that you could munch on. Now, the taxis and the Uber drivers were required to wear masks just like last time, and it was also required of passengers to wear masks as well. And I took lots of public buses this time down. I'll tell you a little story about that. But the buses, all of them, you had to wear masks as well. It was all mandatory. Walking on the streets and wearing a mask was also required. And I'd say that maybe I'd say about 80% compliance when I'm walking down there and looking at how many people are actually wearing masks. There was less compliance in the outlying colonias, like when you were away from the Malecon and you were away from the more popular areas in Puerto Vallarta and more popular neighborhoods. But I was really impressed with the amount of compliance there was. The restaurants. The restaurants still had the restricted capacity. They have proper seating between tables, which was still a requirement. Temperatures are still being taken at the entrances to all the restaurants and shops, as well as the ever-present soap dispenser with that antibacterial gel that you slather all over your body. And there are still the disinfecting foot trays, little mats that you step on to clean the bottoms of your shoes. Those are all still at all the restaurants and all the shops. And many of the restaurants have digital menus where you can, scan a QR code with your smartphone, and the menu will pop up on your phone, so you don't have to, catch the Rona from one of those dirty little menus. Clever, right? So like I said a couple months back, I felt really, really safe traveling during the pandemic. I felt very, very comfortable doing that. And everybody's got their own comfort level. Like I say, mine is pretty high. I mean, I have my buddy over at the supermarket. All of my buddies over at the supermarket are doing well. Nobody has dropped out. And, of course, I had my special COVID kit with me just in case. And I also had that COVID coverage that I got through that new traveler's insurance that I found called Safety Wing. I didn't have to use it, thank God. But again, I was covered just in case I came down with something. Now, I reported last episode that I was taking a wheelchair down for Salvador Estrada, my buddy Salvador, who is the Candyman on the Malecon. He is the marathonista in a wheelchair, and I got this wheelchair from a client who was a hoarder, and she had this wheelchair in the back of her garage that had never been used. So she said, yeah, I could take it to Mexico, which was very nice of her. And Delta Airlines made it really easy for me to transport it, no charge at all, and it arrived in Puerto Vallarta in one piece, which was great. And so I took it with me, and it sat in my apartment and over in my Airbnb for a couple days until I was able to get it over to Salvador's house up in Paso Ancho. And, called up an Uber. He took me up there to his house, and I rolled his new wheelchair into his house. And anyway, his old wheelchair, pretty nasty. It was falling apart, and the new chair fit him like a glove. It was great. So he transferred himself from his bed right into the new chair, and I took a picture, which I posted over in the show notes. You can find it at www.puertovallartravelshow.com. And Salvador has been kind of bedbound for almost a month now. He had a really, really bad infected sore, and he sent me a video of him pulling off a bandage from his sore. It's like you guys would you'd faint if you saw some of the stuff that I see from my Mexican friends. I'm pretty sure this is a Mexican thing. I don't know. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm more than one of my Mexican friends. They for some reason they feel perfectly comfortable taking pictures of wounds and of oozing infections, swollen limbs, and then they just they text it over, or they WhatsApp it over, and it's like, what do you think I am, a medical doctor or something? I mean, is this a thing? Anybody get this stuff? Anyway, it's like, he had a rough spot. He showed me this rough spot in the seat of his chair that was causing this sore, which, by the way, is on the mend, thank goodness. And after a month and maybe a month and a half now, and this new chair, he won't get this sore to come back. Anyway, as it turned out, everything was good. It was really good, and we were both very, very happy, and Salvador was, of course, ecstatic. Now, this time down, I stayed over at this Airbnb, which I've stayed at a couple times, maybe 3 times now over the last few trips. It's on the corner of Honduras and Bolivia, over in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta. I like it a lot because it's a safe neighborhood. It's really pretty quiet, and it's just, when I'm there, I'm surrounded by good food. The internet is very good. The bed is comfortable, so I really like it there. And anyway, I got this message from my friend Marcia Blondin. Marcia is over at Arte Viviente, and she is also writes for the PV Mirror. And she sent me this note asking if I had heard that Skip Everett had passed away. Now, Skip's been on the show, and Skip was actually the person who introduced me to Rodolfo, the blind tenor. He's also that really nice guy who let me use his dream condo over at the Molino de Agua last August. And she said, yeah, he passed away in the middle of October. And I was totally taken by surprise. Skip had actually emailed me and told me that he wanted me to stay at his condo when I came back, but he had a reservation already planned for that time slot that I was planning on going down. But he did tell me that if things changed, that he would get a hold of me. So I didn't call him because I didn't hear from him, but I had no idea that Skip had actually passed away. I asked Marcia if Rodolfo knew about Skip, and she did not know. And so I called Rodolfo, and he didn't answer his phone. I called him a couple times. Then I contacted Jean-Guy Coumeau, who is his voice coach. Jean-Guy also has been on the show. He was on with Rodolfo, if you remember, when we did an episode together. And I asked him if he had spoken with Rodolfo, and he said no, that he hadn't answered his phone, and just like me, he couldn't get a hold of him. And so I wanted to go to his house. I wanted to do a little check on him, but nobody had his address. The last time I was in town in August, my plan actually was to go see Rodolfo. I talked about this on the show, and his wife Julia, and we were going to record some music. But Skip called me, and he warned me that Rodolfo had confided in him that he was afraid that if I were to come to his house, that I might bring him the Rona. And so I called Rodolfo back in August, and I said, "Hey, I don't want to scare you. If it frightens you for me to come see you, don't worry about it. I'll come see you at a later date." And he was fine with that. And anyway, I never got his address. So right now, at this very moment, nobody knows what's become of Rodolfo Carbajal or Julia. And basically, I have a feeling, and I have a pretty good feeling, that he went back to Guadalajara to be with his family. But hey, if anybody out there knows, I sure would like to get in touch with Rodolfo. I mean, I do manage his Facebook page, for crying out loud. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that Skip was Rodolfo's protector, and he may have helped him with his rent, and he definitely helped him, land the restaurant gigs over at Coco Tropical and over at Barrio Bistro. And he, made sure that his transportation was arranged. He bought him sound equipment and the new piano that he's learning on. So, well, anyway, for now, it is a mystery that I hope will be solved pretty soon. At any rate, Skip, thanks for all you did for Rodolfo. Thanks for your kindness and what you did for me. And I'm going to miss you, buddy. I really am. And please, if anybody knows where Rodolfo is, let me know. If anybody's got an address for Rodolfo, please hook me up, and let's see what we can do. I'll follow up on this, and so stay tuned, please, and we'll see what we can find out about Rodolfo Carbajal, the blind tenor on the Malecon. Now, this trip, I was really concentrating on getting as many interviews as I could in what basically was just 5 full days. Usually, I'm there for maybe like 8 full days, so I'm there for like a 10-day stay. And, it takes about, when I arrive, it usually takes about a day and a half to get the interviews lined up, and then I just start going. But this time I thought, I'm going to go ahead and get as many interviews early as I could. So the first 2 days I got 6 interviews, and I was cruising along. And, as I said last episode, I was going to go up to Bucerias and, go up to Nuevo and see what's happening there, bring you a couple of interviews from up in Nayarit. But remember I was going to tell you a little bus story, right? All right, well, here it comes. So this time down, I decided I was going to take more public buses. Now, last time I think we talked about it. We talked about that I found myself on a couple of crowded packed buses, both of them, going each way from Puerto Vallarta to Boca de Tomatlan, and I managed to avoid the plague on both of those two rides. So this time I found myself actually feeling better about frequenting a public bus. Now, in the Cinco de Diciembre neighborhood where I was staying, if I walked down Calle Honduras towards the ocean, I would, when you get to the Shell station, now this Shell station used to be a Pemex station. It's across the street from Pepe's Tacos. And if you wait in front of that gas station right across there from Pepe's, you won't have to wait more than a minute because every bus that goes into Puerto Vallarta actually passes right past that gas station. So that's where I was able to catch my bus into town and out of town. It was easy. It was cheap. I shouldn't say that way, out of town, into town. Out of town, the street up from there, I would just hop on a bus and just go out of town, north. And as everyone knows, or maybe you don't, buses are cheap. They're 10 pesos. They're about 50 cents US. And everybody on them is wearing a mask, so why not? Anyway, this was Wednesday afternoon. I had just delivered Salvador his wheelchair, and I had just walked down to Rio Barbecue from his house, which is way up above it, and I caught the bus home. I changed my shirt, took a shower, and then I headed out for my next interview. I was off to Luisa's. Luisa makes dresses and makes beautiful clothing. She's a seamstress in El Centro, and she designs clothes, and she's got these hand-painted clothes that she makes. And anyway, you will hear from Luisa soon, and you will actually love Luisa. We'll hear from her in a couple weeks. But anyway, I plan to cash some of I brought some US dollars with me, had about $100 with me, and so I decided I was going to go and cash that, turn that into pesos, and then I was going to go over and interview Luisa. So I walked down the street. I hopped on a bus over at the Shell station, and my plan was to exchange those dollars over at the currency exchange booth, which is right near the lighthouse on the Malecon. So I hopped off the bus, and I started walking towards the exchange booth. And it was at that point that I realized that my day pack wasn't over my shoulder. So I thought to myself, Self, did you actually leave your day pack with all your recording equipment on the bus? Or did you maybe leave it at your condo and this is all a bad dream? So, no, I was sure I brought it with me. I was absolutely sure. So anyway, I had to check, just in case. So I grabbed a bus and I went back, and at that point I'm sitting on the bus and I'm taking mental inventory of all the items that were in the bag. There were 3 microphones and cables and mic stands and my Zoom H6 recorder, which I've recorded every interview in every episode for the last 4 years on, headphones, a couple of face masks, a pair of glasses, pair of sunglasses, my credit card, and about $100 in cash. And, of course, all of that could be replaced. In fact, I had a backup. I had a backup recording device that I had purchased for myself just before I left on this trip. It was a Christmas gift to me, and it was back in the condo. And it's a great recorder. I'm recording on it right now. I even had microphone cables. I had extra microphone cables. I had a backup set of headphones. And believe it or not, I have several. I have many. I probably have a half a dozen microphones in different places all over town with people that, I've left them with over the years. And so these people will deliver them to places that they need to go if I need to do a, like a Skype call or something like that. But the one thing that I really needed, the one thing that I needed in that bag, all that other stuff, no big deal, was the SD card that was in the recorder, the memory card that I had inside of that H6 recorder. Because on that card, there were 6 interviews that I had already recorded, right, over the first 3 days plus. And then there were also interviews from August that I had not even played yet. And even a couple of interviews from way back in January of 2020 that still hadn't aired yet. And dumb me, I had no backup for any of those files. They were all on that memory card. And all this hundreds of dollars worth of equipment. And it was that silly little $20 SD card that I really needed out of that backpack. So when I got back to my apartment, I found that, as I expected, that no backpack, no day pack, and I had actually left it on the bus. So I got right to work. I canceled my credit card with my bank. Called them up, told them that I left it on a bus. They said it hadn't been used, and they canceled it. And of course, I didn't have a lot of money with me. At this point, I had $20 in my pocket and about 200 pesos. That was about it. And so I went into my wallet, which I keep separately, of course, along with my passport. All that stuff was still at the condo. And I took out my regular business banking credit card, hoping that I could use it in Mexico. I had not called the bank and told them that I was going to Mexico, but kept my fingers and toes crossed, and it did work. So I was able to get money while I was there. Yay, lucky me. Didn't have to live on 200 pesos and a $20 bill for the next couple of days. Or sell my body, That'd be awful. Anyway, then I messaged about a half dozen people that I know, and I asked them for advice on maybe getting back something that was left on a bus. And all of them basically said that would be pretty difficult. If it was a taxi or an Uber, then, the driver's in charge. The driver would more than likely see it and more than likely would turn it in, especially if you kept track of the name of the Uber driver. Obviously, you do that, and kept track of the number on your cab. Anyway, they said, if it's a bus, then, any passenger could scoop it up and the driver wouldn't know the difference. And so, the possibility of actually having a day pack returned would be pretty slim. So then I contacted JR and I contacted my buddy Clark. Both of them had microphones that I'd left with them over the years. And so they were able to get me. Between the two of them, I got 3 microphones, and I was back in the podcasting business. So the next thing I needed to do was I needed to contact the people that I had interviewed earlier in the week and get on my knees and beg them to sit with me for a redo of these interviews. And each and every one of them said yes. So that was really great. And then I started all over again on Thursday. Knowing that I was heading back home on Saturday afternoon. So I had 2.5 days to collect the interviews, plus a few more. And then those actually were able to get me, are going to actually be able to get me a couple more months of the Puerto Vallarta travel show before I run out. So anyway, on Thursday morning, I started anew. And I want to thank all those guests who agreed to do it again. I want to thank you very, very much. Anyway, I had 3 on Thursday, I had 4 on Friday, I had 2 on Saturday. I ended up the whirlwind trip without, unfortunately, a visit to Bucerias. But that will have to wait for my return trip, which I have already booked. January the 9th through the 19th. I'm going to get 10 days. And I just can't wait to return, guys. You guys, if you can go, please get on down there. They need you. They need you to return. So the other day, I get this mysterious email from this guy named Santos. And Santos writes me that his mother-in-law has my backpack and that she wants to return it to me for a small reward. And evidently, he found one of my business cards for the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show in the backpack, in the day pack. And these are these cards I basically printed up and I give them to the prospective interviewees, so I look like I'm official. And on it is the email pvtravelshow@gmail.com. So anyway, he left me his number, and I called the number, and I spoke with Santos, and he says, yeah, his mother-in-law had the bag, and but she wasn't there to talk with me, and that she lives in Nayarit, and that she'd call me on this number that you called on. And I said, sure, you can use my number, have her give me a call. So the next day, I get a call from Marta, and Marta is the lady who found my day pack. So anyway, she starts right in on how the pandemic has been really hard on her and her family, and she knows that the equipment in the bag is very expensive, and she knows that I need it for my work and so on, and So anyway, she's like digging. She's looking for a big payday here, not just a reward. Okay, she wants a ransom. So anyway, I thought maybe I would try to soften her up a bit. Let her know that the podcast was just a hobby. I don't make any money doing these. It's a promotion for the people of Puerto Vallarta. But it didn't seem to move her much. I offered her 3,000 pesos, which is about $150. And she counters back. She says, her boyfriend looked up the equipment online. She saw that it was very expensive equipment. So she counters back. She says 5,000 pesos. So 5,000 pesos is, it's like $250. So I explained to her, I said, look, the equipment is 4 years old. If you want to sell it, all I really want is the memory card. You could sell the rest, but that didn't move her one bit. So anyway, not only am I going to be sending her that, $250, but I know she's got that $100 bonus. She already got that in the bag. So unless someone else got to it before she did, so it's going to cost me like $350. Anyway, I told her that I would go ahead and I'd make arrangements for the return of the recorder, that I would send the 5,000 pesos to my friend Anastasio. And Anastasio, he's the artist, he's the painter on the Malecon. And I told her that she could go to his studio. He has a studio, by the way, over at 210 Morelos, which is right across the street from the Banco Santander, right across the street from the parking structure that we're going to go to a little bit later in our interviews. Anyway, he is located right before the southbound bridge that goes over the Rio Quale. And I told her, you go ahead and you go and see Anastasio, and you guys can cement the deal. So anyway, I'm going to send Anastasio 5,000 pesos, and we're going to see if I can get my backpack back. I'm going to tell him to look and make sure I get the SD card for sure, because that's all I want. If I don't get that, she can have it. She can have it. Anyway, wish me luck. Man, this podcasting can get kind of costly. Sheesh. Anyway, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how it goes next week. I mean, think about this: $250. That's like round trip airfare to Puerto Vallarta. I paid $270 for this one coming up. Anyway, stop complaining, Barry. Someone found your bag. And yes, I still take the bus. Okay. It's just that I attached the new day pack is now attached more securely, and I'm not going to forget it this time. Less weed, Barry, less weed. Oh, by the way, make sure that you visit Anastasio. Anastasio, like I said, is over at Morelos 210, right across the street from the bank, and just before that southbound bridge that goes over the Rio Quale. He's got some beautiful and affordable paintings in his studio, so go check it out. And anyway, I have pictures of some of his paintings in the show notes. Check those out for sure. Now, when I landed and I was taking a cab into town from the airport, I noticed a cruise ship that was in port, and it was a Vidante cruise ship. There were no passengers, but there it sat. It's kind of an older ship, but anyway, I think we discussed the proposed route for this ship in one of the earlier episodes. It's supposed to be going from Mazatlan to that prisoners island, that penal colony out there, which they evacuated, and they're going to be building Vidante is going to be building a resort out there on the old prison island out there, and then the triangle will be finished over in Puerto Vallarta. So Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, and then the island. Anyway, I don't know if you heard about this, but the cruising industry is actually offering free cruises. Let me read here from the New York Post. Royal Caribbean attracts 100,000 volunteers for cruise ship test runs. On November 19th, 2020, President of cruise giant Royal Caribbean announced Sunday that 100,000 people have already volunteered to sail free of charge on their government-mandated test voyages. And just like that, 100,000 people have volunteered. We can't wait to start this next phase with you all, Michael Bailey wrote on his Facebook page. 3 days earlier, the company set up a Volunteer of the Seas Facebook page to attract those eager enough for a free ride aboard a cruise ship during the COVID-19 pandemic. The test sailings are among the cruise ship industry protocol instituted by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Cruise lines must launch the simulated voyages to test their coronavirus safety measures before being given the opportunity to resume operating from U.S. ports, the cruise industry reported. Royal Caribbean's volunteers will reportedly begin cruising in 2021. The maiden voyage is most likely to Coco Cay, the company's private island in the Bahamas, 55 miles north of Nassau. And I have a link to that article in the show notes. Wow. Anyway, would you like to get on a cruise ship right now? For free? Think about it. Anyway, it looks like the local governments are trying to stop potential partiers from having a good time this upcoming Christmas and New Year's here in Puerto Vallarta. Not just happening where you live, but everywhere around the world. Here comes the Grinch from Vallarta in Lina. It's official, pyrotechnics is prohibited in Puerto Vallarta. Dateline Puerto Vallarta, the Municipal Directorate of Civil Protection of Puerto Vallarta decreed fireworks in Puerto Vallarta is prohibited. With this, its sale or retail distribution will be punished by law. The foregoing implies that the municipal police will carry out operations to seize said product. Therefore, during the holiday season, the sale of fireworks will be taxed as a crime. Individuals may not buy or sell fireworks or explosive devices derived from gunpowder, nor can they be thrown and detonated on the public highway, as it will be sanctioned by the authorities. The only places and circumstances in which pyrotechnics can be purchased and used will be at large and organized events, if they are held. What are these? Maybe by government officials? All right, I added that, okay? I added that. It is to be decided in the coming weeks whether there will be official New Year's shows and festivities in Puerto Vallarta or not. This due to the validity of the pandemic. Even the governor of Jalisco, Enrique Alfaro, has asked to avoid Christmas celebrations and family gatherings. So it could be the case that the fireworks shows that are traditional every end of the year in this municipality will be canceled. Of course, and I have a link to that Vallarta in Lina article in the show notes. You can find them, you know where. All right, now I have more, but this is getting a little long, so let's hold all that other stuff off for next week, and let's get on with the interview, shall we? Back in 2017, Nat Moraga set off on a huge project to cover Lazaro Cardenas Park Parque de los Azulejos was her dream, and she was going to cover it and coat it in mosaic tiles. And over the years, we have actually visited with Natasha as each season began. But this season is going to be different, and it's, of course, due to the pandemic. Why not? But I'm going to let Nat explain and let her lay out the plans for the park, Parque de los Azulejos, Tile Park PV, because this is going to be a different, very, very different high season in Puerto Vallarta. And she's going to tell us how we can keep this project going. So let's go right now to a beautifully tiled bench right in the middle of Las Cardenas Park. And let's hear from Nat Moraga of Tile Park PV. Nat.
Hola, Barry.
How you doing?
Good to see you again.
What's happening? What's happening here at the park? I'm so glad to see the yellow tape is gone.
Yes, finally.
Yeah, and so what's going on here?
Well, we were kicked out of the park April 1st due to COVID and all the pandemic stuff. And we were allowed back last week. So what was it? November 1st. November 2nd. And I was so happy to come back. I was ready.
I believe that. I believe that. Wow. So when they closed this park, was that when they closed like the Malecon and all that other stuff? They do that all at the same time, or when? They
started shutting down little by little.
Yeah.
And the park was actually one of the last things they shut down, but it was also one of the last things they opened. They opened restaurants, bars, everything before the park. So I was a little annoyed, honestly, because it would have been perfect for me to do lots of work.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? So
right, and the weather's cooler, so you got to be thankful for that,
yes,
at least.
Weather's nice. I have a new crew this year. I'm very excited because I get to teach them all over again.
Yeah, you get to do some teaching?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not going to be doing workshops this season. They haven't allowed us to do it because it gets crowded.
Yeah.
So this year it's just us and probably a few volunteers that have already taken the workshop.
Okay.
I mean, we're still adapting to everything that's new.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so no workshop, which means that you still need, you're going to need some help. You're going to need some funding.
Yeah, we still have the customized tiles that people are buying. I don't think there's much more space left, so we're just going to have a few more. And we'll get this done however we can.
Well, all right. So what do you think you have done? About 2/3 of the park?
Construction, 100%. And tile-wise, I think we're at a 50%.
Okay. Because you were going to, your plan also was not just the benches and everything that was vertical, but maybe to do some sort of a finish on the ground. Is that planned?
Not on the ground, but I was thinking of doing something like on the gazebo and stuff like that.
Okay.
But honestly, there's been a few stuff going on with the association that gave me the permits, and I bumped that project down. Like, I don't want to do the gazebo stuff. I just want to focus on the original plan and get moving to somewhere else and make something else beautiful. I'm a little done with a few things.
Yeah, no kidding,
Yes.
no kidding. And it's going to be a harder job for you guys because you aren't going to have the classes and you're going to have that extra help. So
and there's a lot less people this year. So usually our tip jar was filled every day and now it's not.
Exactly.
But I mean, we have to adapt, right?
Right.
I've been getting some private installations, so I've been able to put money back in the park from those private installations, so we're good.
Okay. All right, good. Well, is it a good thing to maybe say if you've taken a class, maybe you could contact Natasha and
anyone
volunteer?
who's taking a class with us, please contact me and come volunteer and help us out. We need more hands.
Okay, so there you go. And that you can do, right? I mean, that's going to be, I think, a work of love as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
we've already had 2 volunteers come this week, and I mean, following protocols. Obviously, we each have our own space. No one's getting near anyone. We use a mask, but honestly, sometimes we just need to breathe through the nose because it gets really hot here.
No kidding, yeah.
But obviously, we try to stay safe. We cordon off our section so no one gets near us. I mean, we do the best we can.
You're doing it right.
Yes.
You're doing it right, and you're doing it safe, and you got to do that, because if you don't, they might throw some yellow tape around your park again.
Exactly. We don't want that.
No, that would not be good. What kind of things do you have planned in the future? Do you have something in mind?
After the park?
Yeah.
Oh, lots of plans. But honestly, I need to focus all my energy on finishing this.
Yeah.
Because it's already been 3 years. One without working. I mean, because it was 7 months without working. And then last summer, we took off a few months because of the rain. But I need to get this park done. It's bigger than I ever imagined.
And it's more beautiful than I ever imagined, I got to tell you.
Gracias.
Oh, it is so amazing.
I really like it. I enjoy it. I love all the stories that come with it. I mean, every tile, every bench, everything has a story. And for me, that's really what makes the whole thing come together.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And you really have made this place come alive.
It's changed a lot. I mean, people have actually recognized that it cleaned itself. There's no more... There was lots of drug stuff going on here, some prostitution, and it has changed with the years. And that's something that makes me really proud, because it was the whole point, like transforming a space to make it better, to make it, I mean, just how people interact with the space. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With their cameras a lot.
With their cameras, and kids love to touch everything and follow the little waves, and I mean, it's cool.
You got a favorite bench?
Not really.
No, you can't say it anyway.
I can't say it anyway.
No.
No, I like the whole thing as a whole. Like, it's one big piece. It's filled with stories. I mean, each column that was done by workshops, they're just moments and experiences that each were special. Even the bad ones, or they weren't really bad. It just was challenging.
Yeah.
Sí.
Oh, that is very cool. Well, what do you want to add? Do you want to add anything else to our conversation?
Well, I hope everyone comes back eventually. There's lots of people that canceled their trip this year. I'm in a battle between yes, come, and don't, because obviously we all want to be safe, but I miss everyone. And honestly, the most thing I miss is hugging everyone. Because now you see someone and you don't know how to say hello. You don't know if you want a fist bump, or like no one knows what the hell,
You
right?
got to take their temperature first and see how they're,
exactly.
how they feel.
Yes, I want to move to Japan for a year and get used to not touching anyone.
Oh, yeah.
Because here, I mean, it's all about touching.
It's impossible for me, I got to tell you, Natasha. What can I tell you?
Yeah. Yes, it's
I
tough.
haven't killed anybody, okay? I just tell you. I haven't killed anybody yet. I've hugged many. And I know I haven't killed them because I know them all.
See, yeah, me too. That's been tough, like readapting to our... Because Mexico, it's all about the touchy feeling and, hey, amigo, and especially if you haven't seen people for months, like it happens here, right? Everyone leaves and they come back during the winter, so you want to hug them and welcome back. And now it's like you stay 3 feet apart and hi, can I hug you? You don't know what the hell's going on.
No, you don't. It's true. It's like the weather. It changes it from day to day.
Exactly. So yes, I mean, please come back as soon as you feel safe. I mean, Vallarta, I think it's pretty safe if you follow protocols. It doesn't depend on anyone else but ourselves, I think. So
exactly.
If you take care, you'll be safe anywhere.
I've seen people following the protocols. Very surprised at how many people are masked up, and of course all the businesses are following all the proper protocols, taking people's temperatures.
Honestly, I mean, I feel pretty safe here.
Yeah. Well,
the weather's perfect. It's not it's paradise to be, even in these crazy times. So
it is. It's not snowing, Canadians.
It's not
snowing. And all you people in the northern part of the United States, it's not snowing down here. It's really pretty.
No, yeah, it's a beautiful day. Look at the sky. Look at the weather. It's just as usual.
Yeah.
As usual in Vallarta.
Exactly right.
So for everyone that's not coming down this year, we're going to miss you.
Yeah. Make your plans for next year, okay?
Yes.
And make sure you remember Natasha, and go to Tile Park. What's your website?
tileparkpv.com. Or our Facebook page is El Parque de los Azulejos. But for everyone that speaks English, just stick with Tile Park PV.
Exactly. That azulejos is a little hard to get out sometimes. Well, all right. So remember, Natasha. Remember Tile Park PV, and remember if you have done a workshop with Natasha, and you're going to be in town, get in touch with her. They need your help down here.
Yeah, and you can get your customized tiles at our webpage. We have a shop section, and we still have a few. So
get in there,
yeah.
Buy those tiles, all right, and let's get this park done. Natasha, thanks for coming on the show today.
Barry, it's always a pleasure to see you.
All right. Thank you, Natasha. I have links and I have pictures of the park as it looks right now. Right in the show notes, I have pictures of her new crew out there, busily at work. And look, if you've taken a workshop with Natasha and if you're planning on coming down, stop by, let them know that you're available to help out, and they will very much appreciate it. And of course, it's going to be a lot of fun for you too. Now, our next interview, we're going to go to the Malecon in Puerto Vallarta. We're going to go visit with Todd and Kathleen from Licks Ice Cream and Xocodiva. We know that, Todd and Kathleen, I reported the other day that they just opened another branch of their famous ice cream treat dispensary. But this time it's right on the Malecon with a fantastic view of the Bahia de Banderas. I contacted Kathleen and I asked if she would come out, agree to talk with us. And she did me a really big favor. She said, yeah, but I want to bring Ron and Laura over. They are the new owners of Xocodiva, which was their chocolate business. And now Ron and Laura own the business. So anyway, we get a chance to hear their story. And it's going to be a twofer. So let's go right now. Let's go to the parking structure on the Malecon, Juarez Parking Plaza. And let's go to some nice tables that are set up out on the Malecon. And let's visit with Todd and Kathleen of Licks Ice Cream and Ron and Laura from Xocodiva, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Todd, Kathleen, thanks for coming on the show again.
Well, thanks
Pleasure
for having
to be back.
us. Very excited.
Yeah,
Good to see you.
I think the last time we did a podcast together, it was like over the interwebs, right? Online, or
Yeah,
like
we
did a
didn't see
Skype
you,
call
but
or
now
something.
we see you.
Yeah.
So we're excited.
All right, so we're all excited because we are sitting in front of your new location here on the Malecon. And since we've spoken, a couple things have happened at Licks and Xocodiva. So let's talk about your two new places, maybe?
So a couple of things have happened since we've seen you. The summer of 2019, we actually sold Xocodiva to our friends and neighbors, Ron and Laura, and they're here with us now. You can't see them, but trust me, they're here, and you'll hear from them later, I guess. But it allowed us to focus more on Licks and allow them to focus on Xocodiva, and we're growing the businesses, and we opened up Licks Kitchen by Costco in Fluvial. So we have a store there with the kitchen where I make the ice cream now. And then Ron and Laura have since opened up another retail location on Basilio up near Act 2. Yes. And so lots is going on for both of us.
Yeah. And then our new location here on the Malecon. So we have both our ice cream and the Xocodiva chocolate and coffee and smoothies and things like that.
Okay, so here at now, I was here a little earlier. I took a little tour, and so you've got chocolate, you've got ice cream here. You make coffee, and what would you call this building here? This is a parking structure, right?
It's Juarez Parking Building. Yeah, it's the only parking building on the Malecon with a wonderful view of the ocean, and we're right underneath the parking building. So if you were to park your car, you have to walk right by our business.
There you go. Oh, that's not bad. All right.
Yeah.
You get to actually have people that can afford gas that'll come walking by here and buy something, which is good.
Yes.
You have any new flavors or anything going on as far as your
Always
ice creams?
coming up with new flavors. We have a new flavor coming out, or coming back, actually. We had it tail end of last season, but I'm bringing it back tomorrow here. It's Blackberry Cabernet Sorbet. So actually has 3 bottles of Cabernet in every tub. So it appeals to a large audience here in Puerto Vallarta.
And why not?
Yes.
Well, I've also worked on a new cookie recipe because we have cookie sandwiches. We homemade the cookies as well.
Yeah.
And I haven't revealed the new flavor yet, but our other 2 cookie sandwiches are Monster Cookie and Snickerdoodle. And then now we're going to have a new one coming out.
All right. Now, why don't you remind, because this has been, I think it's been at least 2.5 years since I interviewed you guys. Why don't you remind everybody, let's talk a little bit about what the favorite kinds of treats that people get here. What are some of the favorites?
Okay, well, for the ice cream, again, we make everything here, just like with Xocodiva. Everything's handmade, local products as much as we can. The fruit and everything we get locally here. And we're real proud of, we don't add a lot of preservatives or any preservatives to our ice cream, and just like the chocolates, no preservatives, all natural. So you're getting a real artisan product and something really, it may sound corny, but it is truly made with love. And I think it comes through on the products that we sell here. Like Kathleen was saying, we have cookie sandwiches now. The Monster Cookie comes with either vanilla ice cream or chocolate ice cream, and the Snickerdoodle comes with coconut ice cream, which is actually my favorite. And then, of course, we have the bananas that are filled with different things.
All right. These guys inject bananas. So, yeah, explain.
Yeah, so go ahead. You can.
The bananas?
Yeah.
So we stuff our bananas with Nutella, salted caramel, or a peanut butter, or we have a natural. And then we dip it in Belgian chocolate, milk or dark, the same Belgian chocolate that is Xocodiva chocolate. And then we roll it in sprinkles, coconut, or pecans. And actually, any chocolate that you see in our ice cream is the same. We use the same chocolate that Xocodiva uses. It's amazing Belgian chocolate.
All right. So the bananas, the stuffed bananas. All right. Yeah, I mean, those kill me. They're great. They're delicious. So how's it been? I mean, you've got 3 locations. How's your life? Is it a little hectic? What's going on there? Is it okay?
Well, the whole idea was to kind of semi-retire, and I think we've missed the mark on that one.
Yeah.
But, the goal is to eventually train more locals and get them more involved. We're both businesses are very proud that we've hired and trained a lot of locals to help us with the products, and we want to continue growing that way. I think the idea for all 4 of us is to be able to work a little less, but of course when you're new ventures and new stores opening, you spend a little more time. Ron's been busting his butt, and Laura as well, getting this new location open, and we're very excited to get it open before the season actually really kicks in here. So it's ready to go, and we're excited to greet new people down here on the Malecon. But yeah, no, we haven't been on a vacation in, 4 years. So
yeah. I mean, you know how to do it right.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously. So, all right. So let's talk to Laura and Ron. So,
All right.
All right. So, Ron and Laura, welcome to the program. Thank you for coming
Thanks
on.
for having us.
Thank you.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about you guys. Where are you guys from, and what was your path that led you here to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, we're from Canada. I'm born and raised in Calgary, and Laura came from Ontario, just east of Toronto. And we lived in Calgary. It was always our desire to live somewhere where it didn't snow. And we traveled extensively, and it was about 4 years ago. We can't remember the exact trip, but we came to Puerto Vallarta for the first time after being many places in Mexico. And the second day, we're actually walking down the Malecon, and Laura just stopped out of the blue, looked at me, and said, "This is it. This is home. Puerto Vallarta is where I want to live." I agreed, like a smart guy, and we moved down here, and we're entrepreneurs at heart, and started looking at opportunities. We're, certainly don't consider ourselves retired. We don't, we want to continue being active and doing stuff. Our neighbors were Todd and Kathleen, and after getting to know them over the course of about a year, we discussed it, became interested in the chocolate business, did a bunch of due diligence, and just thought, wow, what a fun business. And we had a fairly good-sized construction company in Canada, so you couldn't really get anything more different than, fine Belgian chocolate.
Yeah.
But this business is so much fun. Laura is an absolute master in the kitchen, and I just do as I'm told.
Oh, you're a smart man. Laura, master in the kitchen. So you're obviously... did you have any experience at all in
I
candy
had some
making?
experience, a little bit of experience. I guess I'm sort of artistic and have been in, dabbled with a bunch of different things. I've made chocolate before, but always just for Christmas and family. And Todd spent some time with me, and we kind of nailed it pretty quickly. Some trials and tribulations, which there always is with chocolate anyways. It's a little fussy to work with. But luckily, we have an amazing team. We kept one employee that Todd and Kathleen had previously, Rosie, and she's just a godsend to us. She helps a lot.
Excellent. Yeah, you need somebody to help you along.
Yeah.
Teach you the ropes.
Exactly.
What kind of? Let's talk about Xocodiva candy. Talk about Xocodiva chocolates. What kind of flavors? What kind of creations are you making?
Well, we've got a pretty big selection, a lot of very popular ones. A couple that I introduced the beginning of right when we first took over was pumpkin spice, because coming from Canada and Americans too, pumpkin spice is a pretty popular flavor, especially in the fall. And this year we also introduced a margarita truffle. And other than truffles, we have a huge variety of different barks, different flavors in milk chocolate and dark chocolate, with nuts, with pretzels, with caramel. We make everything in the kitchen. All the ganaches are made, same as Todd was mentioning, all with fresh local ingredients. We don't use any preservatives, so the chocolate's natural. And the caramel, we even make the caramel as well.
Nice.
There's a lot of pride with our team, and with Ron and I too. We really think it's a great product.
The place that you are building, it's on Basilio Badio, is that what you said?
Well, we have our production kitchen on Achilles Cerdan, 368 Achilles Cerdan. And it's a full view kitchen. We've got people can come watch us make chocolate. We also do an occasional chocolate class, but that's a very limited supply, so have to contact us, inquire about that. We have what I call a kiosk on Basilio Badio, right beside Roberto's Seafood, across from Vino America. And we've had a lot of success with that store. Chocolate, and especially our chocolate, if people see it, that's all they need to do is really see it. Then they really want to taste it. So it's not only delicious, but it's beautiful. They're works of art. It really is a work of art. If you go to our website at Xocodiva-pv.com, you'll see the pictures of all the truffles. They're hand-painted. And like we've said earlier, we start with the very, very best base chocolate in the world from Belgium. So all fresh local ingredients. And it is, it's a work of art is really what we like to say. Is every piece. It's amazing how much manual labor goes into making a truffle. But at the end of it, the presentation and the taste is worth it. Well, yeah. I can't imagine all these little pieces of chocolate, and you do. I mean, it's like artisanal, just time and effort on each one. Because machines aren't doing this, right?
No.
Okay. Just checking. I just want to make sure.
No, the machines are not doing it. No.
Okay. All
we
right.
don't even use a KitchenAid mixer. We stir everything by hand even.
Excellent. Really? All right.
Really.
And by the way, if you want to see what this beautiful chocolate looks like, and you want to get a link to the front door of the kiosk and the front doors to all of the Lick's locations, of course, you go to www.PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com and then look for this episode, and you will find all these wonderful, wonderful pictures, and I'll even have pictures of Laura and Ron and Kathleen and Todd. It'll be a wonderful thing. Let's just leave Xocodiva for a minute, because we haven't really talked to you guys about some things that we talk about here. This is called the bonus round. And in the bonus round, we ask you your favorite places to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it could be one place or two places, or, you could just keep on going if you want. But you have a favorite breakfast place you want to share with us?
Mi Cafe is delicious and local and about 2 doors away from our house. So if I was going to eat breakfast, that's probably where it would be.
What do you get when you go to Mi Cafe?
Usually a muffin or eggs but coffee. Oh, now I have an option for coffee, but up until now.
Yeah, you do have an option for coffee.
That was one of my favorite coffee places.
Yeah, well, but you remember, it's a long walk to get a cup of coffee in the morning if you come in here. Ron, you got a favorite place, or are you with her?
For breakfast, I'm with her. Yeah, I have to agree with her on breakfast.
Okay. How about lunch?
Lunch, there's a little place right around the corner from our shop, our kitchen on Achilles, called Gringo Loco. And we're a fixture there. We can run in and run out. We grab our quick lunch and get back to work. Other than that, we've been eating a little bit down here on the Malecon with a couple of our partner restaurants beside us. But I'd say that our go-to is Gringo Loco.
Gringo Loco. Go see Larry and see what he's got in the kitchen, huh? All right. That sounds good. How about dinner? You got a favorite dinner place?
Wow, that's a big, vast. There's so many amazing restaurants in Puerto Vallarta. It's hard. So for a fancy, special occasion, Café des Artistes pretty much knocks me off my feet. But we're working, and often because you live here, you're kind of hitting the same little spot all the time. And Taste of Italy is, you get to know the people that work there, and it's, really, you become part of a community when you're living here. And like I said, it's cheap, it's delicious, it's fresh, and it's friendly, and they know who we are, so it's kind of our go-to most of the time.
Really? All right, so that's the place that's sitting right on the corner, right off of Lazaro Cardenas Park, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It sits on the corner, and people walk by, and it's the little spaghetti stand.
That's right.
All right. That's
Unfortunately, we don't actually. Usually, between December and March, we often just have to walk and wave and walk by because it's usually lined up pretty long.
Yeah. Obviously, there's something going on that's really good there, and I've never eaten there yet, so believe me, I've got to check it out.
The food is really good.
Really? All right, so that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You got any? How about a hole in the wall? You got some crazy place that you would walk past and you go, you think, I'd never walk in there, but maybe you walked in and went, well, this is pretty crazy? You can say no.
Taco stands, really, I guess, would be something I probably wouldn't have ventured to 20 years ago, but now, whatever, when in Rome.
So you're not afraid of a taco stand?
No, I'm not afraid of a taco stand.
No, not at all. Or the churro stand by the church downtown.
Yeah, it's a treat.
That is just crazy. We actually had them last night, so. And
3 bags of them,
always
actually.
Disagree on how many bags to buy, so.
Yeah.
But they all managed to disappear.
I don't know how that happens, but that churro guy, man, that guy, he's the only game in town for churros.
Does a great job.
Yeah. And, churros and ice cream, by the way, are a fantastic combination, just in case anybody was listening.
They are.
Okay. If you were going to leave town for a day and go somewhere and come back, where would you go?
From
San Sebastian.
Lodomarcos.
Lodomarcos.
The beach at Lodomarcos. It's not as busy. It's just really chill and quiet there.
Yeah.
We love it there.
You have a favorite restaurant down there?
Don't know the name of it, but it's the restaurant right on the beach.
It's the one on
It's the one on the left.
It's the one on the left.
Yeah, the one on the left.
Exactly.
Of course
They have
it is.
amazing tostadas. Amazing.
All right, Lodomarcos. All right, that's a great day trip. And then how about 3 days? If you're going to go somewhere for 3 days, where would you go?
We've been to Guadalajara a few times and absolutely just love downtown Guadalajara and the scenery. We've been to Tequila, which is just this side of Guadalajara. That's a really, aside from the tour of the distillery, the actual town of Tequila is absolutely fascinating. It's as Mexico as Mexico gets. But we have driven all the way through Mexico from here to Laredo, Texas on our way up home to Canada this summer, and we've also driven through the Nogales entry. So we've put a lot of miles driving in Mexico, and actually there's nowhere to go that's not nice.
Well, there you go.
I would actually just go to the beach. would be lovely.
Yeah. Yeah. For 3
Here
days.
in Puerto Vallarta
Just
would
3
be
days,
nice.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
Finally get away from the chocolate factory and get to the beach for 3 days. That's not bad.
We've been back from Canada for 3 months, and I haven't been yet. So
Yeah, I know that.
Soon.
to look at it
Soon.
every day.
Soon.
I know that happens. It happens. When we're busy, got stuff to do. It's not like vacation here, It's like real life.
Sort of is paradise, though.
Oh,
Still,
yeah.
all the same.
You got to take the good with the bad. If you had a word of advice for a first-time visitor to Puerto Vallarta, what would that be?
Step out of your box. Explore a little farther. Push yourself to explore a little bit farther. Get into the neighborhoods. Check out some, local restaurants. Visit some local businesses. You'll get a feel of the people here, that's what drew me here. The people, the ocean, the mountains, the jungle. It's everything, and I hope that when people do come, they explore all of that.
Nice. How about you, Ron? Anything other than that?
Similar. Just get out of the resorts and come experience the people, the street food. It's just such a wonderful, vibrant place that if you don't really poke around, you're really doing yourself a disservice and not getting that full Puerto Vallarta experience.
Nice. Any words of warning? Any words of warning for a first-time visitor?
Don't go to timeshare meetings.
Don't buy cocaine on the beach at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we get asked.
Wait a minute. Hey,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
We get asked all the time about how we feel about our personal security and everything down here, and my answer is if you're looking for trouble down here, you're going to have no problem finding it. But if you're not looking for trouble, you're going to be incredibly lucky to get yourself into any kind of jackpot. You're safer here than you are in any major city in either Canada or the United States. Use your head, and you'll find the people down here to be the most accommodating, friendly people that you'll ever find.
Yeah, absolutely. Those patasaladas know how to do it. All right, let's go back to Xocodiva just for a minute. Tell us again, how do we find Xocodiva? You're on the web. You're on the World Wide Web, are you not?
Yeah, our website is www.xocodiva-pv.com.
Spell that Xocodiva.
XOCODIVA-PV.com.
Excellent. All right, and you've got a Facebook page, I imagine, too?
We do. Just if you just search Xocodiva Puerto Vallarta, you'll find it.
Excellent. And I will have those links, and I will also have a map that'll take you to their little kiosk. And I'm going to have a map that's going to take you to every location of Licks all around town. And, wow, is there anything you wanted to add before we say goodbye today? Anything else?
Come see us in paradise.
Excellent. All right. And Kathleen and Todd, thanks for coming on the show again, and best of luck to you both on your 3 new adventures. My goodness.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We're really excited about all 3 stores, especially our new store in the Malecon. I mean, you can't beat this view. And to have our ice cream and also the chocolate and the organic coffees, and it's just really amazing experience.
Yeah. And it's always a pleasure to see Barry. Yeah.
Isn't that nice of you guys?
PV's always a little brighter and warmer when he's here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
And I
of
love
you.
seeing your old photos of PV. It's really special because I didn't know PV. We vacationed here in 2016. That was my first time.
Yeah.
So to see the old photos and how much has changed is amazing.
Yeah, in 35 years, things change, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly enough. Well, thank you again. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for introducing Laura and Ron to me, too.
Sure.
It was really nice to have you bring them along so that we could,
I don't think
meet
we
them.
also mentioned that if people are interested, they can walk by the kitchen on Achilles Cerdan and see chocolate being made. And also, if you come out to our store in Fluvio, across the street from Costco, we have our store there, and then a big glass wall, and you can see ice cream being made there as well.
Oh.
So there's lots of opportunities for something unusual to see. For the ice cream, it's probably better you call before you come, because I'm not always making ice cream, but chocolate seems to be almost always being made. So We love having people come out and see us working and really understand how much labor and what's involved with the chocolate and the ice cream. So that's something different to do while you're here.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a lot more fun than watching some guy burn a piece of glass. Thank you very much for coming on the show again. We'll talk to you real soon.
Thanks
Good to
for
see
having
you.
us, Barry.
All right, guys. Thank you very, very much. I have pictures. I have links. I have maps to all of the Licks locations and the Xocodiva locations as well. And, of course, you can find all that at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Oh, all right. Well, that should do it for this week's episode of our return to Puerto Vallarta during the pandemic. So next week, stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta with travel tips, great restaurant and excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your suggestions and your questions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think of something that I should be talking about, well, reach out to me. Click on the Contact Us tab and send us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you need to go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. Reserve the tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you would do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you're going to use someone else. So just do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and send off a message. And don't forget, JR's got his maps, his DIY tours, a revitalized happy hour board, and more. And I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe and give me a good review on iTunes or wherever you happen to be listening to it. Share this podcast with your friends. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to do just that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really got to go there. Have a look. I have links to the places that we talk about. I've got interesting pictures and more, all right there in the blog posts and in the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already, all right? All right. Thank you so much to Todd and Kathleen from Licks Ice Cream. Thank you, Ron and Laura from Xocodiva. Stop by, get fat, really, seriously. I mean, don't worry about it. You'll walk off all of those calories whenever you're going to Puerto Vallarta. Hey, and check out the pictures, check out the links. Take a candy making class, a chocolate making class while you're down there next time. And thank you, Natasha Moraga. Thank you, Nat. Drop some pesos in their donation box when you walk by, when you see them working hard. If you've taken one of their workshops and you're in town, volunteer. Get out there, help them out. And if you haven't got your tile yet, buy one. Buy one right now for a loved one for the holidays. There's time. You can do it online. What a great gift to give yourself or someone you love. I have links to all of those in the show notes. And it's going to be a day late, you guys. If you're there, don't look today. You'll find them tomorrow. But anyway, look for those show notes. I've been busy someone else's. I'm sorry, you guys. Anyway, I promise I'll have them there tomorrow. And thank you, Anastasio. Thanks for being there to do the deal, get my equipment back. Tell me a little bit about mysterious Martha when you meet her. Okay. Anyway, I'll let y'all know how that goes next week. Okay. And thank you all. Thanks for listening all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, don't leave your backpack anywhere, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta.